But as we talk about the different types of gaps, we typically talk about the achievement gap, but the achievement gap turns out to be a vocabulary gap that causes a knowledge gap that results in an achievement gap. If we spend time developing vocabulary, and I'll give you a few strategies on how to develop vocabulary with students, we can somehow bridge a portion of that achievement gap. But there's another gap that goes unmentioned, and that's the emotional gap, the psychological gap that impacts students on a regular basis. And oftentimes, there's a disconnect between what we think we're doing for students in the classroom and what is actually happening internally and cognitively impacting learning. A group called We Learn conducted a survey with over 200,000 teachers and about 200,000 students and 20,000 teachers, and they asked them questions about what's happening in your classroom. Because what we find is that one of the best predictors for student success in school, first is vocabulary, second happens to be the relationships that students have with mentors. Now, what I'll invite you to do is write down what percent of students do you think say, my teachers make learning fun, and what percent of teachers say, I make learning exciting for my students? Okay? Commit yourselves, please write down your answers. And any guesses? What percent of teachers say I make learning exciting? And what percent of students say my teachers make it exciting? Okay, how about? Is that a gap? That's a gap, okay? How about I'm aware of my students' interests outside of school? My teacher knows my interests outside of school. Okay, please jot down your percentages. And let me tell you what one teacher did at a teacher at the Almaden Country Day School. It's a private school not far from where I live. They were going to hire a teacher from Berkeley. I'm from Berkeley. So I said, he's a great teacher. But he looked like he was 1970s Berkeley, as in hippie Berkeley. And so they said, no, we probably don't want to hire him. So finally, 3-2 vote, he was hired. His first year, he asked every student, what are your interests outside of school? And he promised each student that he would go with them for one event. If a child was a pianist, he would go to the recital. If a child was a baseball player, he went to one of their baseball games. He went to one event for every child. At the end of the academic year, his kids showed the most growth of all kids in the entire school. We say students don't care what you know until they know that you care. Okay? And he showed that he cared.